Now we're going to be talking about the sleep stages, and later on in the chapter we'll be talking about dreaming. So there's considerable variation in people's sleep-waking behavior. People generally sleep more when they are young, and this is likely related to growth hormone. Just to ask you guys briefly, why would it be, do you think, that people would be sleep more while they're young, and that this might be related to the growth hormone? Think for a second, when do people grow? Most of the time when we grow, we actually grow at night while we're sleeping. And the main reason for this, aside from the fact that the growth hormone tends to also be released at that time, is that it would of course be advantageous for the growth hormone to be released at the time that we're sleeping, because then our body is less impacted by gravity. So we are actually shorter at the end of our day than at the beginning of our day, because gravity will just slowly impact the compression in our spine. So when we sleep, you have growth and decompression. And so if you ever want to get yourself at your tallest, measure yourself in the morning right after you've woken up. Most people sleep for 7 to 8 hours per night, but of course this varies. Some people sleep much more, or some people sleep much less. Some people, and I don't know anyone, but apparently they do exist, sleep as little as 1 hour per day. I love my sleep, and so I would not want to sleep as little as 1 hour per day, but it would be nice to actually be able to function on less than 7 to 8 hours. But unfortunately, I'm like most people, and probably so are you, that we generally need about 7 hours of sleep per night. So this is going to be a class participation question that will be posted in accordance with this video. How many hours of sleep do you typically get on a weeknight? And so this will be just a chance for everyone to voice in on their own sleep patterns so we can see how everybody does. And here is the next participation question. How long does it take you to fall asleep? Do you fall asleep quickly? There are some people that fall asleep right away. Other people take much longer. On average, it's going to take people about 5 to 10 minutes, but sometimes it takes people 10 to 20 minutes, 20 to 40 minutes, or more than 40 minutes. The combination of how long you sleep and how long it takes you to fall asleep could signal the presence of a sleep disorder. Just to return to this, while some people don't need a whole lot of sleep, if you would actually like to get more sleep and you need more sleep than you're getting, then this could signal the presence of a sleep disorder, where if you're getting very few hours of sleep per night. Also, if it takes you quite a while to fall asleep, then that could also signal the presence of a sleep disorder. Generally, it should be taking on this sort of lower end, but what happens is lots of people use electronic devices before sleep, and these electronic devices, as they emit light, then that signals to your suprachiasmatic nucleus that it's light outside and it should not prepare for bedtime, so you should stay awake. So the use of electronics right before bed can significantly impact your sleep patterns and your sleep behavior. So how is it that we measure sleep? A polygraph is used to measure the electrical activity of the brain and body. You can have electroencephalogram, which is basically EEG. This records brain waves during sleeping. You can have electromyogram, which records muscle activity, EMG. You can also have an electrooculogram, and this is an EOG, and this records eye movements while you are sleeping. Your eye moves a great deal while you're in deep REM sleep, and it's specifically called rapid eye movement sleep. So they use these EOGs to record eye movements occurring during REM sleep. And here's how some of these electrodes would be set up. Here you again would have the EEG, one right here on the top of your scalp, one on the side. The EMG would record muscle tone, and so you could have it right here in your chin and in your neck. And then your EOG, which would look at eye activity. So this is going to have one right here that's going to record the muscle movements for the eye, and this is a baseline comparison node that would be right on your ear where you would not have any muscle movements. So here's a picture of an individual in a sleep study. So all of these things would be here and be recorded while you are sleeping. So we have a number of stages of being asleep. When you're awake and relaxed in sort of this pre-sleep mode, this is basically when you first lay down to sleep and get all relaxed and comfy. You have alpha rhythms. This is your drowsy state, and these are best measured via EEG. In this instance, your eyes are closed and you're preparing for sleep, and you tend to have large amplitude waves, slow frequency, and your muscles still have tone and your eyes are not moving. So that's the pre-sleep stage. Once you are asleep, then you have 4, 5, depending upon how you break it down, stages of sleep. The primary way of dissociating is non-REM sleep and REM sleep. So non-REM is non-rapid eye movement sleep, and then we have rapid eye movement sleep. So I'm going to give you a nice video here that will go through the various stages of sleep. And one thing I want to note is that in this video they talk about there being 4 stages of sleep. In your textbook they talk about 5. On the slides after this video I will align the two, but this is a really nice example and walks through everything, and it generally corresponds with your textbook, but I just wanted to put that information up front.
Even though you're not conscious during sleep, your brain is deceptively active. It goes through multiple cycles with distinct brain patterns, and it's very important to your ability to perform normal functions when you're awake. You have 4 main stages of sleep, which occur in approximately 90-minute cycles during a normal night of sleep. The first 3 stages are all considered non-rapid eye movement, or non-REM, which I'm going to abbreviate as N1, N2, and N3. So N1 is the stage between sleep and wakefulness. This is when your brain starts producing theta waves. You might experience strange sensations known as hypnagogic hallucinations, which is kind of a fun name, but these can include hearing or seeing things that aren't there, such as seeing a flash of light, or a lot of people hear someone calling their name, or a phone ring, a doorbell, or something like that. Or if you've been doing something really repetitive just before bed, then that can recur in your hypnagogic state. For example, if you've been on a boat all day, you may still feel like you're on water when you drift off to sleep, even if you're on dry land. Or something that's actually called the Tetris effect. If you've been playing Tetris for a long time right before bed, then you might experience visual images of blocks or something all moving in the same direction, kind of like the blocks in the game. But another common feeling during this stage is a feeling of falling, and that leads to what's called hypnic jerks, or those muscle twitches you sometimes experience as you fall asleep. So that's N1, our first lightest stage of sleep. And then we move into N2, which is a slightly deeper stage of sleep. Although it's still pretty easy to wake up someone in N1, people in N2 are harder to awaken. We see more theta waves, as well as something called sleep spindles and K complexes. So sleep spindles are these bursts of rapid rhythmic brain activity, and there's a lot we don't know about the purpose of each sleep stage and the function of these brainwaves, but some researchers think that sleep spindles help inhibit certain cognitive processes or perceptions so that we maintain a tranquil state during sleep. For example, sleep spindles in some parts of the brain are associated with people's ability to sleep through loud noises. And K complexes are kind of similar, but they're a different type of brain activity that's also thought to suppress cortical arousal and keep you asleep, basically. They're also thought to help with sleep-based memory consolidation, which is the theory that some memories are transferred into your long-term memory during sleep. And what's cool is that even though K complexes do occur naturally, you can also make them occur by gently touching someone who's in this stage of sleep, like just brushing against their skin, and that'll induce some K complex activity. So what your brain does is sort of assess that the touch on the skin is non-threatening, and it suppresses the processing of that stimuli to help keep you asleep. So Beyond N2, we have N3, so this is our last non-REM stage. And N3 is also called slow wave sleep because, as you might guess, brain waves are very slow. And these are called delta waves, and they have a range of about 0.5 to 2 hertz. So you get basically a half to 2 oscillations of these brain waves per second. And when you're in N3 sleep, you are very much dead to the world and really difficult to wake up. And if you walk or talk in your sleep, this is the stage where those things happen. So the last stage we need to talk about is REM sleep. REM stands for rapid eye movement, and that's because this stage is when your eyes move really rapidly beneath your lids. And also, most of your other muscles are paralyzed. So this paralysis might actually be a good thing because most dreaming occurs during REM sleep. So if you weren't paralyzed, your muscles might act out whatever you were dreaming about, which could be unsafe for you and anyone sleeping near you, depending on what type of dreams you have. REM sleep is sometimes called paradoxical sleep because your brain actually seems very active and awake, but your body is prevented from doing anything. It's kind of crazy. Now, in a normal night of uninterrupted sleep, you cycle through these stages about 4 or 5 times each, and it takes about 90 minutes to go through a complete cycle. But the order, it doesn't just go, 1, 2, 3 REM. The order within a cycle tends to go from N1 to N2 to N3, and then back to N2 before entering REM sleep, and then back to N1, and then it starts all over again. And how long each stage lasts depends partially on how old you are and partially on how long you've been asleep. You tend to do a lot more slow wave sleep or N3 sleep in the first few hours and then more REM sleep right before you wake up. So that's why if you really want to try to remember your dreams, you can set your alarm to go off a little earlier than usual, like 15 minutes. And so you'll get jerked out of REM sleep and are more likely to remember what you dreamed. You know that you get tired probably around the same time every afternoon or evening.
So here are the various stages of sleep. First, we have the non-REM sleep stages. So we have stage 1, this is N1 in the video. This is when your brain produces low voltage, high frequency theta waves. In stage 2, this is N2 in the video, this is almost identical to stage 1, and sleep is recognized by K complexes and sleep spindles and more theta waves. K complex is one large negative upward deflection wave followed by one large positive wave, and then sleep spindles are bursts of 12 to 24 hertz waves. It's going to be little tiny things like this, and then theta waves. Stages 3 and 4 are characterized by delta rhythm, and this is the N3 stage in the video. So again, in your chapter you have 5 stages, and that's generally what you want to go by. You want to align with the chapter. But in the video that I showed you, which has a really nice description of the various stages, there's only 4 stages. So this will help you align them. So some investigators collapse 3 and 4 and others don't. Your textbook does not collapse stages 3 and 4. In stages 3 and 4 you have delta rhythm, a sleeping state. You have slow, large EEG waves of 1 to 3 hertz, and this is associated with deep sleep, non-REM sleep. You have muscle tone, but you have no eye movement, and this is the sleep stages that you would use, that you would have sleepwalking and sleep talking if you were to engage in those types of behaviors. Here's examples again of your K complex up here, followed by sort of a large negative, followed by a positive. And your sleep spindles. Here is alpha waves just before sleep. Here's stages 3 and stages 4. The main thing that differentiates stages 3 and stages 4 is the amount of delta rhythms. So in stage 3 you still have, it's almost halfway between stage 2 and stage 4. So you have some delta rhythms, and then you also have some of these faster waves. REM sleep is the final 5th stage of sleep. You have alpha and beta-like EEG pattern, and this is where you dream. So You have multiple rhythms. You have a beta rhythm that reflects a waking state, small amplitude height waves with a fast frequency repetition period of 15 to 30 hertz. You have muscle tone and your eyes move. And then during this REM sleep is your dreaming state. You have fast brain pattern displayed by the neocortical EEG record during sleep. You have muscle inactivity except for twitches and eye movements. So while you're in REM sleep, you're dreaming and your brain is very active, but again, your body is not. And this is what we talked about in the video as paradoxical sleep, so that you have an active brain, yet you have a paralyzed body. This can also result in something that is known as sleep paralysis, and we'll watch a little brief video that displays that kind of here. So this is someone that is being recorded actually trying to sleep with my eyes closed. So I like this because you can see some of the theta waves here. They have some spooky sound effects on, but really just watch some of the text here because it talks about what's going on. Someone else is recording. So sleep paralysis is a particular sleep when you have access to half consciousness of your sleeping. So you are aware, but then you can also feel the sensations of your dream. You can look at the various waveforms. Here's some of the delta waves down here. Could be a K complex. In some sleep paralysis, you can have very strong pressure, loud ringing noises, sensations of waterfall or engine noises. During his experiences, he often has the choice of whether to wake up or enter the lucid dream. If you are in a lucid dream, it can actually be disturbing because you can have the feeling of being paralyzed, that you cannot move, but you're aware then that it's dreaming, but then you also have all the sensations. Here he's describing some of the things that are occurring during particular dream states that he's had. Sleep paralysis has many representations in history. He's just providing a short snapshot of what he's experiences. So here is entering his sleep paralysis state. Trying to force himself to wake up. And you can see all of the changes now that his eyes are open. So if we're to contrast non-REM sleep and REM sleep, the main things that you need to know about non-REM sleep are that you have a large range of activities that take place. So you have examples include decreased body temperature and an increase in growth hormone release. Dreaming can occur in non-REM sleep, but dreams are not as vivid as in REM sleep. Interestingly, you also have sleep talking, sleepwalking, and night terrors that tend to occur during non-REM sleep. This is odd because these behaviors are actually inconsistent with non-REM. During non-REM, sleep becomes quiet, sort of inactive period, but especially during stages 3 and 4. But sleep talking, sleepwalking, and night terrors tend to occur. And this is, of course, while an individual is deeply asleep and they're not really aware that they're engaging in these physically active behaviors. REM sleep, on the other hand, is associated with atonia, which you have no tone, a condition of complete muscle inactivity. This is produced by the inhibition of motor neurons by sleep regions of our brainstem. During sleep, you actually have neurotransmitters are released that inhibit motor neurons so that while you are physically dreaming, that you don't enact out parts of your dreams. During REM sleep, the mechanism that regulates body temperature also stops working, so body temperature can move towards room temperature. So these are the primary factors that contrast non-REM and REM sleep. You tend to progress through the sleep stages in approximately 90-minute cycles. So the duration of REM sleep periods also tends to lengthen as the night progresses, and deep sleep, stages 3 and 4, shorten. So here, again, you start in 2 and you can move from 3 to 4, and this is the amount of time that you would occur in each stage here. So you'd have a very short stage in 2, 3, you have some time here in stage 4, and then it jumps back up. You have some REM sleep, you have a bit of time here in sleep 2, and then you have more deep sleep here in stage 4, then it jumps back up and you start to have more time in REM. Then you have a period in stage 3, but as the night progresses, you spend, again, less time in stages, these deep non-REM stages of 3 and 4, and you spend more time in either stage 2 or REM sleep. So the REM periods get longer as the night progresses.